Questions. And in the style of Gaur Gopal Das, opening hookah first or din 2 minutes friends, I met a young man recently who told me, Sir, post success. I smiled and said, overnight success. Sure, just be ready for din nuri sleepless nights first. Questions. He looked shocked, like I had just told him samosas have no calories. The truth is, my dear friends, everyone wants the fruits. Questions. But very few are willing to water the roots. We want the result without the effort, the harvest without the sowing. Questions. The sunrise without dark night. And today, post questions. I want to tell you, there's no such thing as overnight success, but there is such a thing as sleepless nights that make it happen. Questions. Main body adesya key points woven with stories, humor, and analogies. Odin. Questions. Dreams don't work unless you do. Many people sleep with big dreams. Questions. But they wake up with the same dreams because they didn't wake up early enough to work on them. The night is for sleeping. Questions. But sometimes, if your vision is big enough, your dream will keep you awake. Questions. If your dream lets you sleep too peacefully, maybe it's too small. Dva. Post questions. Passion is the alarm clock you can't switch off when you love what you do. You don't need an alarm clock. Your passion wakes you up. Questions. Sometimes before the alarm, you don't hit snooze on your purpose. 3. Questions. Sacrifice is the price tag of success. Your favorite celebrity. Sleepless nights. That CEO you admire. Sleepless nights. Questions. That musician you love. Sleepless nights. Every yes to success is a no to comfort. Chotiri. Questions. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation will wake you up today, but discipline will keep you awake tomorrow. Questions. Motivation is like sugar, super short-lived. Discipline is like healthy food, not always exciting, but it sustains you. Piat. Questions. Work now, rest later, but rest wisely. Don't misunderstand me, friends. This is not about destroying your health. Questions. Sleep nights are seasons, not a lifestyle. Push hard in seasons that matter, then rest enough to keep going for the long run. Shins. Schist. Every sleepless night builds unseen strength. Think of a seed in the soil. Questions. It works quietly in darkness before it sees the sunlight. Your sleepless nights are when roots grow before the world sees the tree. Questions. Seem. Comparison will kill your energy if you're staying up all night just to prove to others you're better. You'll burn out fast. Questions. Do it for your purpose, not for your ego. Post questions. Dreams don't work unless you do, my dear friends. Have you noticed something interesting? Every night, post questions. Millions of people wall close their eyes and drift into beautiful dreams. In those dreams, questions. They see themselves owning successful businesses, standing on big stages, driving their dream cars. Questions. Traveling to their dream destinations, and the next morning, they wake up, stretch, and go back to the same routine. Questions. Waiting for dreams to magically happen. It's almost like going to a restaurant, looking at the menu. Questions. Imagining how delicious the food will be, and then leaving without placing an order. Questions. Expecting the food to somehow arrive at your home. Dreams without action are like that. Beautiful to imagine, but they won't feed you. Questions. We all love the feeling of dreaming big. It's exciting. It makes our heart beat faster. But here's the truth. Questions. Friends, dreams don't work unless you do. The dream is just the seed. Work is the water, the sunlight, the soil, questions, and the care that makes it grow. I remember once meeting a young man after a talk. He came to me, eyes sparkling, and said, "Posse questions. I have a dream of becoming the world's best motivational speaker." I smiled and asked questions. "But so how many speeches have you given so far?" He hesitated and said, "But not yet. But I'm waiting for the right opportunity." Questions. I told him gently, the opportunities are like buses. They pass by every day. But if you don't walk to the bus stop, questions, you'll never get on one. This is what happens to so many of us. We want the result but not the process. Questions. We want the cake without baking, the degree without studying, the muscles without exercising. But life doesn't work that way. Questions. You can't get to the top of the mountain by sitting at the bottom and imagining the view. Questions. You have to climb, and climbing will take effort, sweat, and sometimes sleepless nights. Think about a farmer. Questions. He doesn't just dream of a harvest. He wakes up early, tills the land, sows the seeds, waters the plants, removes weeds. Questions. Protects them from pests, and patiently waits for the season to change. Post questions. Imagine a farmer planted seeds today and came back tomorrow saying, "But why isn't my wheat ready?" We would laugh, wouldn't we? Questions. And yet we do the same with our dreams. Plant a seed of an idea today and get frustrated tomorrow when it hasn't grown into a tree. Questions. Friends, the effort you put in daily may not show results immediately, but it is never wasted. Every drop of sweat, every extra hour. Questions. Every small step forward, they are like invisible bricks building the foundation of your success. Questions. People will see the building one day, but they will never see the bricks you laid in the dark. Now, let's bring this to daily life. Questions. Suppose you want to learn a new skill, say, playing the guitar. Questions. If you only watch videos of famous guitarists and imagine yourself on stage, nothing will change. Questions. The first time you pick up the guitar, your finger will hurt. Your chords will sound terrible, and your timing will be off. Questions. You might even think, or maybe I'm just not talented enough. But talent is not enough. Effort makes talent shine. Questions. If you practice for minutes a day, in a few months your fingers will be stronger, your chords cleaner, and your timing better. Questions. Eventually, people will say, "Wow, you're so talented," without knowing the number of hours you practiced when nobody was watching. Questions. And that's the irony. The people who seem like overnight successes are usually the ones who worked quietly for years when no one noticed. Post questions. Their dreams were because they worked. Think of Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. People remember him for the invention. Questions. But not for the nully and successful attempts before it worked. When asked about his failures, he said, "But I have not failed." Questions. I've just found nully ways that won't work. That's the spirit. Work until dream has no choices, but become reality. Questions. We often say, "But I'll start when I have more time or when I feel ready." Friends, time will never arrive gift-wrapped. Questions. And you'll never feel perfectly ready. The best day to start was yesterday. The second best day is today. Questions. If you wait for the perfect conditions, you'll spend your whole life waiting. Let's say your dream is to write a book. Questions. You don't write the whole book in one sitting. Write a page today, a paragraph tomorrow. Questions. Even a sentence if that's all you can do. But do some thinking every single day. It's like filling a jar with drops of water. One day, post questions. Without realizing it, the jar will be full. And let me tell you a secret, working on your dream will sometimes be boring. Questions. It won't always feel inspiring. There will be days when you feel tired, when you doubt yourself, when no one believes in you. Questions. But that's when you must remember, the dream won't work unless you do. Friends, don't just be a dreamer. Be a doer. Post questions. Wake up earlier if you have to. Sleep later if you must. Give up some comfort now so you can live your dream later. Questions. Dreams are not magic. They are goals with a deadline and a daily action plan. So tonight, when you close your eyes and dream questions, promise yourself that tomorrow you will open your eyes, take one small step toward making that dream real. Questions. Because a dream that stays in your head is just a fantasy, but a dream you work on every day. That's your future. Questions. Your dream is waiting for you, but it won't chase you. Post questions. You have to chase it, and you have to keep running until the day comes when your dream zones, smile around, and sells. Questions. But I've been waiting for you. That, my dear friends, is when your sleepless nights will be worth it. Questions. Passion is the alarm clock you can't switch off, my dear friends. Let me ask you something. Questions. How many of you have set an alarm for an important meeting, an early flight, or an exam? Questions. And somehow you woke up even before the alarm rang. You didn't wake up because the clock. You woke up because of the excitement, questions, the urgency, and the anticipation in your heart. That's exactly what passion feels like. Questions. When you are truly passionate about something, you don't need to be pushed out of bed. You're pulled out of bed. Questions. You don't need to be forced to work. You're drawn toward your work. Passion is that inner alarm clock that keeps ringing. Questions. Whether you're awake or asleep, reminding you again, this matters to you. Questions. I once met a young woman who was a professional dancer. She told me she practiced for hours every day. Questions. Sometimes until her feet bled. I asked her, "Ma, how do you do it? Don't you ever get tired?" She smiled and said, "But of course I get tired." Questions. But my love for dance wakes me up in the morning and keeps me going even when my body says stop. Post questions. That's the magic of passion. It gives you energy you didn't know you had. Passion is like fire. If it's strong enough, questions, it will keep you warm through the coldest nights and guide you through the darkest paths. Without it, questions, even a small challenge feels like a mountain. But with it, even a mountain feels like a small step. Questions. Think about children on the day of a school picnic. On regular school days, parents have to call them what times to wake them up. Questions. But on picnic day, they are already awake before sunrise, ready with their bags packed. The time was the same. Questions. But the excitement was different. This is exactly what passion does. It makes the work feel like a picnic, even if it's hard work. Questions. I know one who runs a small bakery. Every morning, he wakes up at 3:30 am. to start baking fresh bread and pastries? Questions. One day I asked him, for why hire someone to do the early morning baking so you can sleep longer? He laughed and said, questions. Because the smell of fresh bread in the oven is my favorite part of the day. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Questions. That's passion. Waking up for something not because you have to, but because you love to. When you are passionate about your dream, questions, the alarm clock becomes a formality, even if it's Piate M. You wake up with ideas rushing through your head. Your brain whispers, questions, but let's get started. And here's the truth. When passion is strong enough, work stops feeling like work. It becomes your joy. Questions. You play your art. Now, here's the challenge. Most people think they are not the morning people or they lack energy. Questions. But the truth is they might just lack passion for what they are doing. You will always feel tired. Your heart is not in your work. Questions. You might sleep 8 hours and still feel exhausted. But if you're excited about your day, questions, you could sleep for 4 hours up energized. Passion makes discipline easier. For example, questions. A musician practicing the same song 100 times isn't forcing themselves. They are enjoying every repetition. Questions. A gardener watering plants daily doesn't see it as a burden. They look forward to seeing the flowers bloom. Questions. A writer staying up all night to finish a chapter thinking about the clock. They are lost in the world. They are creating. Questions. This is winding your passion is so important. It's not just about making a living. It's about making a life worth waking up for. Questions. When you love what you do, your mornings feel lighter, your evenings feel fulfilled. Questions. And your workday feels like an adventure rather than a prison sentence. Questions. But let me be honest, passion alone is not always comfortable. Sometimes it will demand more than you think you can give. Questions. Will you up in the middle of the night with an idea, or keep you working when others have gone to bed? Questions. But you will not resent it, because deep down you know this is your calling. Passion is also contagious. Questions. When you are deeply in love with what you do, other people feel it. They get inspired by your energy. Questions. They start to believe that maybe they too can find something worth waking up for. Questions. It's like a candle lighting another candle. Your flame doesn't reduce, but the light around you grows. Questions. I once read about a man who had been a janitor for years. Questions. When a journalist asked him how he managed to stay happy in his job for so long, he said, questions. Because I don't see myself as cleaning floors. I see myself as creating a safe, clean space for people to work in peace. Questions. I'm part of their success. That's passion. When you take pride in your work, no matter what it is, post questions. And you wake up knowing you're making a difference. So, friends, here's the question. What wakes you up in the morning? Questions. Is it the alarm clock, or is it something deeper? Questions. Is it just the need to pay bills, or is it the joy of working on something that sets your soul on fire? Questions. If your answer is just the alarm clock, questions. Maybe it's time to search for the thing that will make you act out of bed without hitting snooze. Because in the end, questions. Success is not just about money, titles, or fame. True success is waking up every day excited for what's ahead. Questions. And when you find that, you'll realize you don't need an alarm clock anymore. Questions. Your passion will wake you up, and it will keep you awake in the best way possible. That, my dear friends, questions, is the kind of sleepless night worth having. Questions suckers the price tag of success, my dear friends. In life, everything has a price tag. Questions. When you walk into a store and see something you love, the first thing you check is the price. If you want to own it, questions, you have be willing to pay the price. Success is exactly the same. The dreams you have, the goals you desire, questions, the heights you want to reach, they all have a price tag. And that price tag is called sacrifice. Questions. Many people want success but without giving up comfort. They want to eat the cake and still have it. But life doesn't work that way. Questions. You can't hold to everything and still move forward. Sometimes you have to let go of good things to make space for great things. Questions. I once met a young athlete who was training to compete at the national level. He had to wake up at 2 a.m. every morning for training. Questions. His friends would invite him to the late-night parties, but he would say no. They laughed and said, questions, though you're missing all the fun, he replied, but I'm not missing the fun. I'm building my future. Questions. That young man understood something important. Every yes to your goal is a no to something else. Sacrifice isn't punishment. Questions. It's an investment in a farmer keeping the best seeds aside instead of eating them. It feels like giving something up now. Questions. But he knows it will bring a much bigger harvest later. In the same way, when you sacrifice time, comfort, entertainment, questions, or even relationships that pull you away from your dream, you are planting seeds for your future. Questions. Look at any successful person in history, an inventor, artist, a leader, an entrepreneur. Questions. Behind their achievements are countless sacrifices. They sacrificed sleep to work on their craft. Post questions. They sacrificed temporary pleasures to focus on long-term gains. They sacrificed the approval of others to follow their own path. Questions. People see the glory, but they rarely see the price that was paid for it. Questions. One of the clearest examples is students preparing for competitive exams. Questions. While others are watching movies or scrolling on their phones, these students are buried in books, memorizing formulas. Questions. Solving problems, practicing day after day. They sacrifice weekends, festivals, and sometimes even family time. Questions. But when they finally hold that acceptance letter or pass that exam, the sacrifice suddenly feels worth it. Questions. Sacrifice also means choosing priorities. If you try to please everyone and do everything, you'll burn yourself out. Questions. A young entrepreneur I know told me that when he started his business, he hardly saw his friends for a whole year. Questions. They called him a boring and unsocial. But when his business succeeded, the same friends came to him for advice. Questions. Sometimes people won't understand your sacrifices until they see your results, and that's okay. Questions. You're not sacrificing for their approval. You're doing it for your dream. Questions. But here's something important. Sacrifice doesn't always mean grand gestures. It's often found in the small, daily choices. Questions. Waking up early instead of sleeping in. Choosing a healthy meal over junk food when you need energy to work. Questions. Spending your money on a course instead of buying something flashy. Saying no to gossip so you can say yes to personal growth. Questions. These small sacrifices over time build to big success. And yes, sacrifice can be uncomfortable. Questions. You will feel the pull of your comfort zone. You will sometimes question whether it's worth it. Questions. There will be days when you feel like giving up. But remember, comfort zones are beautiful places where nothing grows. Questions. If you want growth, you must be willing to step out, even if it means leaving behind something you enjoy. Questions. Think a rocket taking off. It burns the most fuel during launch just to break free from Earth's gravity. Once it's in space. Questions. The journey becomes easier. In the same way, the beginning of journey will require the biggest sacrifices. Questions. But once you break free from the pull of distractions and comfort, momentum will carry you forward. Questions. Sacrifice also teaches you the value of what you gain. If something comes too easily, you won't appreciate it. Questions. But when you've given up sleep, sweat, and even tears for something. Questions. Holding in your hands will be the sweetest feeling in the world. That's why athletes cry when they win medals. Questions. Why parents beam with pride when the children graduate, and why entrepreneurs smile when they remember their struggles. Questions. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the satisfaction. So, friends, the next time you're tempted to give in to comfort. Questions. Remember the price tag. Ask yourself, but do I want the pleasure of now or the reward of later? Either truth is. Questions. You can't have both in full measure. If you pay the price now, you'll enjoy the benefits later. But if you avoid the price now. Questions. You'll pay with regret later. And here's the beautiful part. The sacrifices you make today will not just change your life. Questions. They will inspire others, your children, your friends. Questions. Your community. They will see your journey and learn that success is not magic. It's the result of discipline, hard work. Question. Sacrifice. So embrace the sacrifices. Wear them like badges of honor. Because one day. Questions. When you stand on the mountain of your dreams, you will look back at every sleepless night, every missed party, every tough choice. Questions. And you will say, well, it was worth it. That is the price tag of success. And my dear friends, it's the best deal you will ever make. Questions. Discipline beats motivation, my dear friends. Have you ever had one of those mornings when you feel like you can conquer the world? Questions. The music is pumping, you're full of energy, and you say, but today, I would do everything on my to-do list. Questions. That's motivation speaking. But then we wake up, it's raining outside, the bed feels warmer than usual. Questions. And suddenly that fire you felt is nowhere to be found. This is where most people quit. Why? Questions. Because motivation is like a guest, it visits, inspires, and then it leaves. But discipline. Questions. Discipline is the family member that lives with you. It's there every day, whether you feel like it or not. Motivation is emotional. Questions. It's a burst of energy, a rush of inspiration. It feels amazing, but it's temporary. It's like sugar, it gives you a quick boost. Questions, but it fades fast. Discipline, on the other hand, is like healthy, nourishing food. It might not give you the same rush in the moment. Questions, but it builds strength that lasts a lifetime. I once spoke to a marathon runner who had been training for years. I asked him, questions, but do you always feel like running every day? He said, but no, I don't even feel like running most days. Questions. But I lace up my shoes anyway. That's the essence of discipline. Doing what you said you would do. Questions. Long after mood in which you said it has faded. Let's be honest, friends. Questions. There will be days when you won't feel like working on your dream. Questions. There will be days when Netflix looks more attractive than your project. Questions. When scrolling on your phone feels easier than going to the gym. When sleeping in feels better than waking up early to study. Questions. Motivation will not save you on those days, but discipline will. Discipline whispers, I know you don't feel like it. Questions. But we are doing it anyway. You think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning feeling inspired to brush your teeth. Questions. You don't say, wow, I can't wait to brush today, but you do it anyway, because it's part of your daily discipline. Over time, questions. That habit keeps your teeth healthy without you even thinking about it. Questions. That's how discipline works in every area of life. It creates that habits carry you forward, even when motivation isn't there. Questions. A student preparing for an exam may feel motivated on the first day after making a study timetable, but on day 15. Questions. When the excitement has faded and the syllabus still looks overwhelming, it's discipline that will keep them turning the pages. Questions. An entrepreneur may feel motivated after hearing an inspiring speech. Questions. But it's discipline that will keep them working late into the night when sales are low and challenges are high. The truth is, questions. My dear friends, if you rely only on motivation, you will have an inconsistent journey. Some days you will do a lot, questions, and other days you will do nothing. But discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Questions. A little progress every day is better than bursts of effort followed by long breaks. Questions. I remember reading about a famous author who writes peach-sort words every single day, no matter what. Rain or shine, holiday or weekday. Questions. Sick or healthy, peach-sort words. He said, if I waited for inspiration, I might write once a month. But with discipline, questions, I write every day and the inspiration comes more often. That's the beautiful secret. Discipline not only keeps you going, questions, but it also invites motivation back into your life. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Questions. The first time you use yourself to wake up early, it feels difficult. But after doing it for 3 days, it becomes your new normal. Questions. The first time you say no to unhealthy food, it feels like a sacrifice. But after a while, it feels like a choice you want to make. Questions. Discipline shapes you into someone who doesn't just chase their goals when it's easy, but someone who stays the course no matter what. Questions. Here's a simple daily life example. Imagine you're trying to get fit. Motivation is what makes you join the gym. You buy new shoes. Questions. Take selfies and feel pumped for the first week. But discipline is what makes you show up to the gym on cold mornings. Questions. When your muscles are sore, when you're busy, and when no is watching. Without discipline, questions. The membership card becomes just another forgotten object in your wallet. And the beauty of discipline is that it creates freedom. Questions. At first, it feels restrictive, like you're forcing yourself into a routine. But over time, questions. It gives you the freedom to live the life you want. A disciplined student has the freedom to choose from great career options. Questions. A disciplined saver has the freedom to retire early or travel the world. Questions. A disciplined athlete has the freedom to perform on their peak. So, my dear friends, the next time you feel motivated, questions. Enjoy but don't depend on it. Questions. Use that energy to create routines and habits that will carry you on the days you don't feel like working. Motivation is the spark. Questions. But discipline is the engine. The spark might fade, but the engine keeps running. Your goals are like a marathon, not a sprint. Questions. You don't win by running fast for the first 100 meters. You win by keeping a steady pace all the way to the finish line. Questions. Discipline gives you that steady pace. It doesn't shout or make a big scene. It quietly walks beside you every day. Questions. Holding your hand, leading you to where you want to go. Remember this. Questions. Success doesn't belong to those who work hard only when they feel good. Questions. Success belongs who work hard even they don't feel like it. And that, my dear friends, questions, is why discipline will always beat motivation. Work now, rest later, but rest wisely, my dear friends. In the journey towards success, questions, there will always be a tension between work and rest. Some people think working hard means never taking a break, questions, and others think resting too much will make them lose the race. The truth lies somewhere in between, questions. Success requires seasons of intense effort, but it also requires rest at the right time, questions. The key is knowing when to work now and when to rest later. And when you do rest, questions, making sure it's the kind of rest that recharges you, not the kind that distracts you forever, questions. There's a story about a farmer who wanted a great harvest. During the sowing season, he woke up before sunrise, questions, worked in the fields all day, and returned home only after sunset. His friends said, "You work too hard, you should take it easy," questions. But the farmer knew if he wasted the planting season, he would have nothing to harvest later, questions. When the season for rest finally came, he rested with satisfaction, knowing he had done the work. That's what work now, questions. Rest later is all about understanding that some seasons demand extra effort so that future seasons can be enjoyed in peace, questions. Look around in life and you'll see this principle everywhere, questions. A student who puts in sleepless nights per exams gets to enjoy the vacation guilt-free, questions. An entrepreneur who works long hours in the early stages of the business can later take holidays without worrying if the company will collapse, questions. A sportsperson who trains tirelessly before a championship can later celebrate without regret, questions. The sacrifice of rest now becomes the reward of rest later, questions. But let me be clear, I am not talking about destroying your health or running yourself into the ground, questions. There are differences between wise sacrifice and foolish burnout, questions. Working now doesn't mean never sleeping or ignoring your body's needs. It means prioritizing your dream over unnecessary comfort, questions. But still giving yourself the minimum rest required to stay strong and healthy for the journey, questions. There's a beautiful example from nature, the caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it works intensely, questions, eating and storing energy. Then it rests inside the cocoon, using that stored energy to transform, post questions. If the caterpillar rested too much in the beginning, it wouldn't have enough energy to complete the transformation, questions. And if it worked too much without resting in the cocoon, it would exhaust itself before becoming a butterfly, questions. Work and rest are part of the process, but in the right order. Many of us fall into one of two traps, questions. The first trap is resting too early. We take too many breaks before we've done the real work, questions. It's like someone planting seeds and then sitting under the tree expecting fruits the next day. Questions. The second trap is never resting at all. We push and push until we burn out, and then we can't work at all. Questions. Both extremes steal our dreams. I remember meeting a young man who started learning coding. Questions. He was passionate and worked day and night for weeks. But he never gave himself a proper break, never ate on time, never slept well. Questions. In a few months, he lost motivation completely because his mind and body were exhausted. On the other hand, questions. I know another person who started the same journey but approached it differently. She worked hard during the day, questions, took short breaks to recharge, and allowed herself one day off week. Her progress was slower at first, but in the long run, questions. She learned more, built a career, and stayed healthy. That's the power of working hard now, but resting wisely. The truth is, rest is not the enemy of success. Laziness is. Rest is a tool. If you rest with intention, it restores your energy. Questions sharpen your focus and makes your work better. If you rest without intention, endless scrolling, mindless entertainment, questions, avoiding responsibility, then it becomes procrastination disguised as rest. Questions. One simple way to live this principle is to set a clear work season and a clear rest season. When it's time to work, questions. No excuses, no distractions. When it's time to rest, really rest. Spend time with loved ones. Enjoy nature. Questions. Read a book, meditate, sleep well. That way you're not half working and half resting all the time. Questions. Which only leaves you feeling guilty and tired. Think of building a house. If you work a little and rest a lot, questions. The house will never be finished. If you work without rest, questions. You might make mistakes in construction because you're too tired to think clearly. Questions. But if you work with focus now and rest strategically, you will finish the house sooner and enjoy living in it for years. Questions. This is the same with our dreams. Work hard during your construction phase. Put in the extra hours. Make the sacrifices. Questions. Push through the challenges. And when the structure is strong, you can step back and enjoy without fear that it will collapse. Questions. That's the raw of working now and resting later. And when that rest comes, it will feel different. Questions. Rest after honest hard work is sweeter, deeper, and more fulfilling than rest after doing nothing. When you've earned it. Questions. Rest feel like a gift. When you haven't earned it, rest feel like guilt. So, my dear friends, questions. Remember this, not to avoid rest, but to earn it. Work in a way today that your future self will thank you for. Questions. Let your present be filled with the right kind of effort, so your future can be filled with the right kind of peace. Work now. Questions. Rest later, but when you rest wisely, knowing that you've planted well, you've watered well. Questions. And now it's time to enjoy the shade of the tree you work so hard to grow. Questions. Every sleepless night builds unseen strength, my dear friends. Questions. One of the greatest misunderstandings about success is thinking that every bit of progress is visible from the start. Questions. We live in a world where people want instant results. Fast food, instant delivery, overnight transformation. But real growth, questions, the kind that lasts us, often happens quietly, away from the spotlight, in the moments when no one is watching. And many times, questions. Those moments happen during sleepless nights. Think of a seed planted in the soil. When you water it, questions. Nothing seems to happen for days. You start wondering, why is it even growing? But beneath the surface, away from your eyes, questions. Roots are spreading, anchoring the plant so it can withstand storms in the future. Your sleepless nights are exactly like that. Questions. You may not see the visible results yet, but deep down, you're building the foundation that will one day hold your success. Questions. I once spoke to a young man who had just started a small business. In the early months, he worked from morning until midnight, making phone calls, sending emails, meeting clients, learning skills, and solving problems. The income was small, and some days, questions, there was none at all. His friends mocked him, saying, "For you're wasting your time." Questions. Even what they couldn't see were the skills he was developing, the connections he was making. Questions. And the resilience he was building during those long nights. A few years later, his business exploded in success, and people said, questions. But you're so lucky. They didn't realize that his luck wilt in the darkness of those sleepless nights. Questions. Sleepless nights are not just about losing rest, they are about gaining strength. Questions. When you push yourself beyond comfort to meet a deadline, finish a project, or solve a problem? Questions. You're training your mind to endure pressure. Just like muscles grow stronger after being pushed to their limits. Questions. Your inner strength during those long hours when you could have quit, but didn't. Questions. Think about students preparing for important exams. Everyone sees them on the day they receive their results, smiling with joy. Questions. Holding their certificates. But few see the nights they spent over books, drinking tea to stay awake. Questions. Battling fatigue and self-doubt. In those moments, they weren't just memorizing information, they were building patience. Questions. Self-control and mental stamina. These qualities will serve them long after the exams are over. Questions. Life often tests us in hidden ways, forward rewards us in visible ways. The sleepless nights are those hidden tests. Questions. Can you keep going when the world is asleep? Can you focus when your body says beresti, but your goal says just a little more? Questions. Can you hold on to your vision when there's no applause, no recognition, and no visible proof that you're moving forward? If you can. Questions. Then success becomes inevitable, because you've built the strength that no can take away. Questions. I remember reading about a mountaineer who trained years before climbing Mount Everest. Questions. Most of his training was done in complete obscurity, running uphill with heavy backpacks. Questions. Sleeping in cold conditions to adapt, or pushing himself when no one was cheering. He said something powerful. Questions. The mountain didn't make me strong, my training in the shadows did. The climb was just the moment I got to use that strength. Questions. Your sleepless nights are your training in the shadows. Questions. And here's the beautiful part. The strength you built during those nights just help you achieve your goal. Questions. It changes who you are as a person. You become more disciplined, more focused, more resilient. Questions. You develop the ability to stay calm under pressure, to think clearly when tired, to push through discomfort. Post questions. These are the qualities that separate those who dream from those who achieve. Even in nature. Questions. Some of the most incredible transformations happen in darkness. The caterpillar becomes a butterfly in the darkness of the cocoon. Questions. Pearls are formed deep inside the shell, hidden from sight. Diamonds are made under the pressure of the earth, away from human eyes. Questions. Your sleepless nights are your cocoon, your oyster shell, your underground forge. You may feel hidden now. Questions. You are being prepared for the day when the world will see your shine. Of course, sleepless nights are not always glamorous. Post questions. There will be times when you feel frustrated, when you doubt whether it's worth it, when you wish things would move faster. Questions. But remember this, nothing you're doing in those moments is wasted. Even if you fail at the task, the persistence you practice. Questions. The problem solving you attempt, and the courage you show will remain with you forever. So, my dear friends. Questions. The next time you find yourself working late into the night while others are sleeping, sipping, don't resent it. Smile and tell yourself. Questions. But I'm building something they can't see yet. Every you write, every calculation you solve, every skill you practice. Questions. Every problem you face in those hours is strengthening you for the journey ahead. One day. Questions. You will stand in the light of your achievements, and people will ask questions. But how did you do it? You will smile and think back those quiet nights, those unseen battles, and you'll know the answer. Questions. You became strong when no one was looking. Questions. That is the gift of every sleepless night, the unseen strength that becomes the unshakable foundation of your success. Questions. Comparison will kill your energy, my dear friends. In this age of social media, comparison is easier than ever. Questions. You can wake up in the morning feeling good about yourself until you open your phone. Suddenly, questions. You see someone who bought a new car, another who got promoted, another who is traveling the world, questions, and another who just posted a picture-perfect life. Without realizing it, your mood shifts, questions. The joy you felt when you woke up is now replaced with frustration, self-doubt, or even envy. Why? Questions. Because you started comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. Post questions. Comparison is like a look in your tire. You might not notice it at first, but over time it drains your energy, your focus, questions, and your happiness. And the worst part, it steals time. Time you could have used to work on your own dreams, questions. Every minute you spend looking at what others have is a minute you're not investing in building what you want. Questions. I once met a young artist who loved painting. It brought her peace, joy, and a sense of purpose. But one day, questions. She started following a group of professional artists online. Their work was beautiful, and instead of feeling inspired, post questions, she felt discouraged. She thought, but I'm not as good as them. Why even bother? She stopped painting for months. Questions. Not because she lost her talent, but because she let comparison convince her she wasn't good enough. Friends, the truth is, questions. When you compare, you're not comparing equally. You're comparing your starting chapter to someone else's middle or final chapter. Questions. You're comparing your practice sessions to their polished performance. Questions. It's like comparing the seed in your hand to someone else's fully bloomed tree. Questions. Of course, the tree looks more impressive, but it didn't start that way. There's a saying I love. Questions. Don't compare your day 1 to someone else's day 1,000. We all have different journeys, different time lanes. Questions. And different opportunities. Some people bloom early, questions. Us bloom later, but blooming late doesn't make your flowers any less beautiful. Comparison doesn't just hurt your confidence, questions. It also kills your creativity. When you're too focused on someone else's path, you start losing sight of your own, questions. You may even start imitating them instead of being authentic, questions. But the world doesn't need another version of them. It needs the first and only version of you. Think about a marathon. Everyone starts the same line, but not everyone runs at the same speed. Some sprint, some jogs, some walk. Questions. If you keep looking sideways to see who's ahead, you'll trip, you'll fall. The best runners focus on their own lane, their own pace. Questions. Life is no different. If you want to reach your destination, keep your eyes on your road. Questions. I know a man who built a small bakery in his town. For years, he baked bread quietly, served his customers. Questions. And grew his business slowly. Then a new bakery opened across the street with fancy interiors, big advertisements, and more variety. Questions. At first, he felt discouraged and even thought about closing his shop. But then he reminded himself, questions. But I didn't open this bakery to compete with them. I opened it to serve my community with love. He kept his focus, and within a year, questions. His loyal customers grew even more because they trusted his quality. If he had wasted his energy trying to outshine the other bakery, questions, he might have lost both his purpose and his customers. My dear friends, your energy is your fuel. Every drop of it counts. Questions. When you waste it on comparison, you have less left for your own goals. Questions. It's like trying to drive to your destination while constantly stopping to see where everyone else is going. You'll arrive late. Questions. If at all, instead of comparing, try this. Turn comparison into inspiration. If you see someone achieving something you admire, questions. Don't think, why not me instead? If they can do it, maybe I can too. Let their success remind you of what's possible. Questions. But don't let dictate your pace. Also remember, you never know the full story behind someone's success. You see the shiny part. Questions. But not the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the failures, and the struggles they endured. And just as you don't see their hardships, questions, they might not see yours. So why waste energy comparing incomplete stories? If you must compare, questions, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Are you more focused than B? Are your skills sharper than last month? Questions, are you closer to your goals than last year? That's the kind of a comparison that fuels growth instead of draining it. Questions. One of the wisest things you can do for your mental peace is to set boundaries with comparison triggers. Questions. Spend less time scrolling things that make you feel small and more time working on things that make you feel proud. Questions. When your attention is on your own lane, you'll notice something magical. You start feeling lighter, freer, questions, and more energized to give your best. So, friends, the next time you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's, questions, pause and remind yourself, oh, my journey is mine alone. My pace is perfect for me. My story is unfolding exactly as it should. Questions, if you keep your focus on building your own path, questions, you'll not only protect your energy but also create a life so fulfilling that you won't have time to compare it to anyone else's. Questions. Because in the comparison doesn't just kill joy, it kills progress. Protect your energy, focus on your lane, questions, and run your own race. That's how you win, not against others, but against the person you used to be.